Hey, and welcome back to Dragonborn Industries with Warrior Prince 3D for painting up the monster manual. Hey Richard, how are you?
I am not too bad today, I hope you're well.
I am freaking knackered, as we were saying before the stream.
It's a middling, yeah.
Yeah, I'm tired. Hey Dibs, good to see you, how you doing? Everybody in chat, hello. I'm going to be playing some music in a minute, so do let me know, obviously, about levels and stuff like that, if it's too loud, too quiet. But we're on episode 7 of painting up the monster manual. 7 weeks. It's crazy, right?
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah, and this one I think is going to be quite fun. So we've been starting the animated series where we've covered the animated armor as of last week, and this week it's going to be the flying sword. Once more, this is a miniature that WizKids don't produce as of yet. So Richard has kindly 3D printed these for us, which is so cool. And I like that there's 2 on there. But I just think that's a really cool proxy of like magic hands holding a sword about. So yeah, thank you for that, Richard. And I've got that all primed up in a reverse Xenophall. Are you painting the same one?
I am painting the same one, yep. I think I'm going to take a slightly different route to yourself, but same one for me.
Nice. Where are these ones from?
I was actually about to go and have a quick check of that, because these are not the normal kettle of fish that I have.
No.
So I got these. Let's check the old library and purchases.
So I've just banged some music on, so those in chat, just let me know if it's too loud or too quiet.
So these are from a one of the companies that I found that I've dipped my toe in occasionally and seen some very nice stuff from, called Crippled God Foundry.
Oh, I know them. They're really cool.
They can be found on my mini factory, and they do all sorts of wonderful D&D little bits and pieces.
They do.
You know, especially sort of the more sort of obscure stuff like this, which is great.
Nice. Well, if you send me the link to those after this, Richard, I'll put that in the chat. But also, if people want to... Because you don't have the merchant license for that one, do you?
I don't have the merchant license for these, so these won't be on the Etsy store.
However,
if someone wants something similar or wants anything bits and pieces like that, just drop me a message and we can see what we can do to help.
Because pretty much they can buy the file and send it to you, can't they? And then you can print it out because they own the file.
They own the file. They basically would effectively rent my
printing service.
My printing services.
And that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? It's kind of like, you can pretty much get anything for anybody in some way, shape, or form. And it's really cool that you can do that, and hence why having things like these is just awesome. But, Richard, could you go and roll me a level 3 character, please?
Let's see what we've got today.
So, just in case anybody doesn't know what we're doing, we're going to spend 1 hour, and only an hour, painting up these minis to try and get them tabletop ready. And this is to show that you don't need to be a master painter, and that you don't need to go balls to the wall when it comes to painting minis to get them tabletop ready to give your players immersion. I'm also, just to distract myself and Richard at the same time and make this super hard, going to make Richard every week roll a random level 3 character, and then we just ad-lib a combat or an encounter from there. So last week with the animated armor, I think you all rolled a wizard or a sorcerer, was it?
I think I ended up with a wizard.
Yeah, and then you basically ended up in a wizard's manor and was trying to fight against a set of animated armor, which was, really fun. And I'm really liking this kind of on-the-spot stuff that you throw at me, because I don't know anything until Richard creates a character here. I have a stat block in front of me for the flying sword, which we will go through, and we'll tell you about this monster. And that's it, really. The other point of the show is to show you that most D&D parties start in around the 1 to 3 area. And if you were to just throw certain monsters at level 3 characters, they're going to walk all over them. Or the monsters are going to walk all over the characters. And it's a bit of a showcase of how easy some monsters are to deal with as players and how the CR challenge rating works. So, Richard, have you rolled a level 3 character?
I have, and this is a wonderful example of how rolling random characters can screw you if this was a long-standing game. So I am Nigel, the Fire Genasi Rogue. Of all of my stats, my dexterity is the worst. I am a strong constitutional rogue, apparently.
Wow. So, and again, for those of you who may not know Dungeons & Dragons, stats can be very important to your class. And you can lean heavily into your stats if they're negative, but you want to put your best stat into that class's thing. So usually with rogues, that's the dex modifier. Whereas, how much of a dump stat is your dex?
It is the dump stat.
Oh god!
It is my lowest stat.
Wow.
Considering the array I've got 3 15s, a 17, a 14, and a 12, and the 12 is my dex.
Oh man. Well, 12's not bad. At least it's not a negative number.
That is, yeah, I suppose. Although I would love the idea of playing a 8 dexterity rogue just for funsies.
Yeah, maybe they're like trying to become a rogue, become a thief, and that's their apprenticeship thing, and it's just like...
That's it, have effectively like a Goliath, so a 17 strength hulking rogue. I want to pick locks and sneak around, please.
But you could also be like a rogue bruiser, so it's like you could be like a criminal, but like then you're leaning heavily into strength.
You're a thug, yeah?
Yeah, so you're like, and that could be like another way of doing it. And again, D&D's great. You can like lean heavily into your stats or anything like that. Usually, obviously, you'd create a character and you would have more control over this, but I'm literally making Richard every week roll a level 3 character because we both want to just roll with it. We want to RP, we want to just kind of see how we do, how we paint, but also how these monsters fare when we aren't prepared. So, hey Fluffy, how you doing? Richard, I am going to set up a timer. And have you got an idea in mind of what you're going to do for your mini?
If I'm completely honest, no, I haven't. I've literally spent the last 3 minutes thinking what colours to do.
Yeah, cool. It's been a nice distraction as I look at mine going, oh God, because I think I'm going to try some NMN.
I say, NMN. I know you're going to try and brave some very terrifying bits and pieces.
Oh, stuff that should take days to do. Absolutely. I'm going to try it in an hour.
I'm literally going to go complete simple, and I'm probably going to use 3 to 5 paints, if that.
Yeah. But Div says basically it's Richard himself as a novice rogue.
Thanks, Dibs.
Yeah, so guys, again, just let us know if anything's too loud or too quiet, and we'll go from there. But Richard, with your dump stat of Dex, I need you to roll initiative, please.
Alright, my whole +1 initiative. Oh, it's so close to being a natural 20. My initiative is a whole 3.
Awesome. The flying sword with a Dex mod of Dex mod of +2, which is a stat of 15, is going first with a 17. So I rolled a 15. I'm just going to write 17 on there so I don't forget it this time, even though it's just 1-on-1. So let's set the scene, and I think we will carry on from where we were last week. Your adventuring party hears about this manor within Waterdeep, this old wizard's place that nobody's been able to get near, and it's part of the mystery of the noble district is that there's meant to be treasures and stuff hidden inside there. Your party has got further than anybody's ever got and managed to breach inside the house. The wizard finding their way up with maybe a levitate spell or some magical items into another window. Yourself as the rogue, however, managed to pick one of the locks at the back, and it gives surprisingly easy, and the door opens. And although it's only evening time here in Waterdeep and the hustle and bustle of the city is around, the doorway in front of you is almost a black void. So shadowy it can't be natural. And you can only just make out the vague shapes of maybe walls, furnitures, or anything on the inside. What would you like to do?
Just in case I'm being watched and evaluated by anyone within the guild, I try and wipe quickly the look of surprise off my face that I managed to pick the lock, and I make my way in.
Okay. So, are you trying to sneak in, or are you just walking brazenly in?
I am trying to sneak in, having 50 eyes everywhere that I can.
Okay, so if that's the case, give me a perception check and a stealth check, please.
Perception check. I actually have a decent 21 perception.
21 perception. Sorry, I'm going to make that a disadvantage because it is very dark in there, as I described.
Okay, so oh, you bastard. Okay, my perception check and my stealth check are both a solid 5.
Awesome. The darkness is strangely unnatural, and as you step over the threshold you feel something tug at your ankle as a wire is set across the door. And you just hear bells start to ding, 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 as you set off a tripwire and an alarm. Immediately, you feel like you are shunted forwards, and the door behind you slams, and you watch as those shapes in the room are lit up as sconces around the walls start to flash to light, and you realise you are in a kitchen, and everything just turns on. So, like, there's a fireplace with a cauldron in it that seems to have automatically, as soon as the fire begins to blaze underneath it, a boiling, roiling stew inside it that smells fantastic. You watch as a kettle, a pot on top of the stove, begins to boil and whistle, and there is a clatter of drawers closing, and almost like a kitchen was being used by an entire staff of people. And then it all goes quiet, except for the roaring flame under the cauldron, the bubbling of the stew, and the light roar, or light kind of like of the sconces around the room.
Okay. Nervously, I will walk ahead, keeping my eyes peeled, and I'm going to try and stay low, and I'm going to draw weapons as well.
Okay, what weapons have you got?
I should probably check what weapons I've got. Okay.
So I've just banged some Necromancer Grey on the swords as a base coat, and I'm going to let those dry. And while I do that, I'm going to put some Hex Ray Flame all over that green magic hands holding up the sword.
Okay, so I will draw out my dagger and short sword and proceed forward.
Okay. Anything else you do, or are you just literally proceeding forwards?
Yeah, I'm going to check for traps around me after having triggered another one.
Perfect. Can you give me an investigation check, please? I will give you advantage because you have realised there is probably traps here now that you have set one off. And you are more aware.
My investigation is a whole 22.
22, okay. You notice that if you were to cross where the sink and the stove sort of area are on the right-hand side of the room to head towards the door, you would have to go around a central kitchen island. And you notice on the left side of it, there is another wire on the floor going from one of the drawers to the wall, where it seems to just disappear into some of the stone. And on the right side, it seems clear on the floor. I'm just going to roll something because I want to see, because that 22 is pretty good, but I also want to see just how good.
You want to see how mean you can be?
Yeah, because we sort of have to ad-lib this. So I'm not going to do this off the flying sword stats because we're not at that point yet. So we would say a wizard has an intelligence as their main stat, yeah? Mm-hmm. If a high-end wizard, what would you say is a decent stat bonus for them? I'll let you pick the modifier.
You would have a plus. In this sort of place, give it a +5.
+5, yeah? So I'm going to roll a d20, I'm going to add a +5, and this is going to be to see if you can see anything else. There's a 13 +5 for an 18. So you, with a 22, notice that one of the last things clattering as you make your way there is a large knife that's situated on what looks like a magnet board or some kind of stand attached to the wall, and it just seemed to have clattered for that little bit too long. And that is on the right hand side, pretty much next to the sink and above the stove. That could be something.
I will go and investigate and see if I can ascertain as to what it is, in the hopes to disarm something nasty.
Okay. You can give me an investigation check or an arcana check.
I will give you an investigation check.
Okay.
Of a whole 13.
13. You saw it move. That's undeniable. But maybe that was part of the magic. Maybe that was something else. You're not quite sure.
I will. Is there anything around kitchen apron, anything like, or string, anything I can tie this thing to something else.
You could root around in the drawers, or you could.
I will use some of my own rope, or I've got some thin rope with one of the packs, I think. So bear with me. Yes, I've got some rope, so I will tie some rope to this thing that moved.
Okay.
And see if I can, and basically tie it off to something solid, just in case it might be something of the artillery nature.
As soon as you go to touch it, to tie the rope around it, the knife points towards you really quickly and almost grows a good 5-6 inches longer into a short sword and makes a slash at you. This is going to be the encounter. So, that was so close to a nat 20, and it rolled onto a 12. So, the flying sword is a creature that is a CR 1/4, so it's designed to be very easy to deal with for an average party level of 1, so a low-level party, let alone a party of level 3s. Then it has a relatively all-right stat block for something that is a monster. Obviously, we see that charisma is its dump stat. Wisdom is also a dump stat. There are a 1 and a 5, so a -5 and a -3. Intelligence is also a 1 because these are unthinking objects. They are enchanted. Then it's got a constitution of 0, which is pretty flat, but its dex is +2 and its strength is +1. It makes a longsword attack, essentially is the name of the attack, which has a +3 to hit. So with a 12 +3 as a 15 with its 5-foot reach.
I think that is enough to hit me. Yep, I have a whole 12.
Have you got armor equipped? Just because I know D&D Beyond.
I'm literally just double checking.
Because I will let you equip some armor if it's not already on.
Where is my armor? Why hasn't it added armor?
Because as a rogue, I think you would at least have some leather armor. Especially at level 3.
Yeah, I'll have had game on mail. Right, add items, armor, common, get a bit of studded leather. Let's see what that does do to me.
Should give you a 15, I think. Or a 14.
No, that gives me a whole 13.
Oh, low levels.
I have no pluses from Dex.
Oh, yes, of course. That's why rogues want a dump stat somewhere else. So it's going to do, and it's a low amount of damage relatively for somebody at level 3, but it's 1d8 +1 slashing damage. That is a 2 +1 for 3 slashing damage to yourself. Is it Nigel?
Nigel, yeah.
Nigel. Yes. But this thing, its ready action goes off, and yes, so Dibs, I am going to use some Tesseract Glow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down near the bottom, actually, and then I'm going to try and put a darker green near the hands, so it looks like a green smoke coming up. And yeah, like it glows under UV light. So its ready action goes off, and it swipes at you, and it manages to like slash into part of your armor, and yeah, we're now in initiative. It's got the initiative with 17. It then just comes in again trying to attack. It only gets 1 attack because it's a low CR creature, and that is going to... That's your nat 20.
Okay, just take me out, it's fine.
But this is it. So, like, depending on where people are in the initiative order, this can make a difference. I'm going to throw that D8 that way. So, we're going to double the dice and add mods. It's a 2 again, it's a 4, so 5 damage.
Okay. Luckily, Constitution being my top stat, I'm pretty healthy. That was 5 damage, did you say?
5 damage. As this thing, it slashes across, and then as you try to step back to avoid the attack coming in, it's almost like it was enchanted by somebody who knew about fighting, and it sweeps down and it slashes at the leg to try and trip you, and manages to cut across the shin. And then it rears up again like it's going to come for an overhead swing. You're up, buddy. Nigel, it is your go. So I'm going to take some Mechanicus Grey, and now I'm going to start trying to do that NMM. And I guess it's the checkered approach is what I've seen other people doing. Have you ever done NMM?
I've never done NMM. I have never been brave enough to try it, so... M. Right, I am going to... Sort of a bit shocked by the capability of this thing and the fact that it's cut me rather nastily. I'll sort of step back slightly, remaining within its distance.
Yep.
And instead of my short sword of my dagger coming up, I'm going to have them so that the blades are hanging down, but put my hands together, open my fingers slightly, and I'm going to use flame at this thing.
Oh, lovely, because fire ganassi.
Because I am a fire. Right. And I will launch out a ball of fire at it for a 13 to hit.
A 13 does not hit. So, a flying sword has natural armor of 17. This is because it is an inanimate sword, basically, that has been enchanted.
Armor class for a level 1.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, Dibs, this is called NMM, non-metallic metals. And I keep saying NMN, but it's NMN. And I'm going to attempt to do that on this one within the hour. So a natural armor class of 17. Yeah, we know what we mean, and we're trying to teach other people. Oh, God. You watch as you send out the sword like that, the flame like so. And the sword, as it was rearing up, slices down through the fire, splitting it apart, almost as if... Not caring in the slightest. Anything else from yourself? Any bonus actions as a rogue, or?
I think I'm a thief. Okay, so I'm gonna bonus action disengage.
There you go, buddy.
It's a flying thing, isn't it?
It is.
Is there any tables or anything? Anything I can clamber under to try and get out behind it?
So there is this island, like kitchen island in the centre, and you couldn't get through it. You could get behind it or over it, but yeah, nothing that you can see. None of the chairs are really big enough for you to get underneath.
Right, then unfortunately I think I'm going to have to just toe-to-toe with this thing.
So you're going to stay there?
Is there a wooden chopping block?
Yes, directly underneath it.
Right, I am going to grab the wooden chopping block using my bonus action to use an item, and I'm going to hold it up, ready to defend myself.
Like a shield?
When it strikes down again, and try and get it to impale itself upon the wood.
Okay, so I think that you can have improvised weapons in D&D, so why not have improvised shields? It's not designed to be a shield or take a hit like that, but it is designed to take sharp blades. The blade is now a bit bigger. I will give you a +1 instead of a +2 to your AC while you are holding this. Because it doesn't have a handle either, so your fingers will have to be like over one side of it.
Yep.
So as long as you're okay with that and you think that that is fair, I will give you a +1 to your AC.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so at this point, it slashes down through the fire. You grab the chopping block and you actually manage to deflect it as it's coming down. Then it almost pulls back like somebody about to make a lunge forwards with a stab motion. 13 plus 3, that is a 16 to hit.
You hit me with the 13.
That's 2 points of damage with a 1 and a 1. So, I guess would you deflect it? Would you try and would you be trying to fancy footwork around it? Tell me how this thing hits you.
So as it hits me, it is a case of I glance the blow off with the chopping block, but it scores a strike down on my shoulder or something like that.
Nice. Yep, that works. I like that a lot. So it kind of you deflect it and it hits the shoulder and it hits the pauldron of your arm and you're as it kind of smashes in. At this point, you hear somewhere else in the house of stone moving, and then you hear the clattering of metal, tung 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 tung, as it seems to be moving on a floor somewhere above you, from one side of a room to another, and you hear some muffled shouting and maybe some you think maybe spell casting. But it is your go, Nigel. You are up.
Right, okay. Throwing down the chopping block and grabbing my knife back up, I'm just gonna go for this thing. And I'm gonna go for a short sword hit and a dagger hit.
So we're clashing blades.
Okay. Oh my god. I rolled 2 7s.
2 7s. ting, ting, and now it's like parrying you as you fight against it, and it's almost like somebody is controlling it. It's like fighting an actual swordsman. Maybe in your party there is a fighter, and it's doing the same things, like it blocks, it parries, it sweeps your blades aside, and it starts pushing you back, giving you the back foot. Anything else from you?
Right, considering now I think this thing is somehow controlled by a god and clearly, not of this earth sort of skill, as deflecting my blows is mightily impossible. I'm going to bonus action disengage, and I'm going to try and leave the room.
Okay, so you disengage and you move towards the door, which is on the opposite side of where you entered. Thematically, the sword takes a slash, but you use your disengage to duck out of the way with that rogue dexterousness that you don't have, and you then make your way towards the door. The sword shing, points towards you like it's going to make an attack. You get to the door. Unfortunately, you've used your action and you've used your bonus action, so you merely get to the door, which is about 20 foot away, let's say. Anything else from you?
No.
Okay. The sword hurtles towards you. They have a flying speed of 50 foot, so these are very, very quick, unlike the animated armor, and it just goes to lunge into you and pierce you. That is a natural 1 as it hits the door and is you can see it struggling to pull itself back out. We will class this as prone if you were to make an attack against it, as it is currently restrained by its own doing, but you think it will be able to free itself in the next turn. You're up.
Utilising the proned nature to give myself obviously the advantages and my sneak attack bonus, I'm going to full blow attack for it.
Go for it.
That's better. 22 on the short sword.
Hits. Roll damage on that one first, please.
And 20 on the dagger. Short sword. Right, okay, so we've got 7 damage, and I'll do sneak attack damage. 14 damage total. 14
damage total. You come down with your blade and ting! You manage to hit it right near the base of the handle, the hilt, and you manage to see a little crack appearing on it as a flicker of magic starts to spark from it.
Bring it back. The dagger hit with a 20.
Yep.
So then the dagger does 5 additional damage.
So that's 14 plus 5 for a total of 19, yeah?
Yep.
And as you bring the dagger up, you see that crack, and you manage to hold the sword where it is, and you just ting. The hilt comes off the blade and ting, 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 ting onto the floor, and all of that noise in the kitchen goes quiet as the flame goes out on the cauldron. The stew that's inside the pot vanishes, and you hear a of a door unlocking. You have defeated the flying sword. And we'll call that the end of the encounter.
Nice one.
And there you go. So a flying sword, you thought, I think, to begin with there, that with that low dex and with a few of those bad rolls could have been a problem. And I think if I'd have rolled better damage, I may have ended up... I mean, how many hit points did you have?
I had a total of 27.
Oh, okay.
You dropped me to 17.
Yeah. So I think, if that had hit you with the last one and I'd rolled a crit and it had been a high-end crit, like rolling an 8, doubling that to 16, then that's the danger right there. And that's the danger of crits at low level. And I think having a D8 of attack...
And situational and getting some bad rolls can really do mischief.
Exactly that. But no, again, well done, Richard. I think that was well played, especially for, again, a random character that you have no clue about until this moment. You are...
That's it. Nigel will go into the Hall of Fame.
He will indeed. Are you saving all of these characters?
I haven't deleted any of them, so they're all staying in the character list.
Yeah! We're going to have to do a slideshow of alive, dead, alive.
Dead.
Find some thumbnails for them.
Very dead, yeah.
But yeah, and that's that. So it's I love these creatures enchanted objects and stuff, because you can reskin them. You can take things it's got slashing damage on it. Okay, make it a hammer and give it bludgeoning damage instead. Give it to a statue bust and give it the hammer stats, or give it to something like a bow and arrow and have it give a range attack instead of having a speed movement or something. And yeah, I love these as like little dungeon fillers and little ways of...
They also use them to combine in encounters, because at the end of the day, if a piece of animated armor happens to be running around with 2 swords, all of a sudden the swords just take off from its hands.
Exactly that.
And you've got 3 mobs then.
Exactly. And one of the perfect examples of this is Curse of Strahd, where Strahd's sword is a flying sword. So he can quite literally just have it attack you, and it uses his stats rather than the base stats, which is fucking crazy. How are you getting on with the painting?
All right, just dry brush the contrast on the magic effect. I've gone for like a dark blue with the dry brush lighter blue for the magical effect. I know you were going for green, so figured try and go for a little bit of variety.
Nice.
I've used a grey knight steel on the blades, which gives it like a slight sort of blue-grey ting to it.
Lovely.
Which I quite like. And you've gone up the middle of one of the blades with like a rust colour.
So I'm getting the last of the Tesseract glow all over this, and then we're going to start wet blending later on between the two again, just to pull some different colours in, and then I'm going to use some yellow and dry brush that into places on top. Herbalist Afternoon! You have just missed the combat in which Nigel, the Fire Ganassi rogue, defeated a flying sword in the kitchen of some wizard's manor.
I did so well.
You did. You did very, very well for somebody who had a dump stat in their decks. That was incredible. But that sneak attack came in clutch there, absolutely.
I was going to say, it was basically I was trying to find a situation where I could get advantage to be able to get a sneak attack off, because that was the only way I was going to actually do any sort of hefty damage to it.
And I think that's where the Nat 1 really came in helpful. And I think, like, especially for monsters, like rolling a Nat 1, I wouldn't do it to players where they end up with something bad happen, like a critical fumble. I don't, because I used to, and then people got quite pissy, and that's not the point of the game. And sometimes I know it's not about that, but actually,
it's I don't do it because I used to have my mate and mine got basically we made a list of things you'd roll against of what would happen.
Yeah.
And because of some of the things that weren't quite nice, decided to we stopped using that, and it's situational, and I'll add it for flavour.
That is the best way to do it.
So sometimes it'll be a case of you're disarmed. Sometimes you've dropped, or you've fallen over slightly.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to do it. I think a lot of attacks and spells have their own things, like you knock a creature prone, so you don't need to like double up on things like that for myself. But like with having been at the back end of receiving, a critical fumble and then just watching it go from bad to worse and the dice just aren't in your favour, it can be really demoralising. So I kind of tend to stay away from it where I can. But sometimes, like then, to give it to the monsters where it can help the players feel really, really special. And it can help them get some cool shit off as well. And especially when you're one player instead of an entire party. If you've gone off on your own, which is what I'm doing to you during these,
that's it.
If I'd have got the crit on you, you'd have been dead.
Gotcha.
However, it rolled a nat 1 as it was coming towards the door. It's situational. It may as well get stuck in the door and you get an attack off on it. I think that's probably one of the fairest ways of doing it.
It's always about the flavour, about the story, and about what you can, rule of cool plays very heavily at my table.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that it's definitely all about having fun and the cohesion of the story, and I also like it to be thematic. I really like combat to have that cinematic play to it, where like you're not just going, okay, roll a d12, yep, cool, you hit, you do damage, okay, next player.
You can see it in your head. You can play out that fight sequence and that,
Exactly. And like I think that's what makes combat way more fun for me, is that immersion of like people describing spells, people using.
I'm terrible. I'll go for a walk and I'll have music in my head. So I will plan out the fight and have it with the music. Think of the way my big bad's going to move, how he's going to cast, what his sort of characteristics will be, what his weaknesses are going to be to for someone doing something to him in a particular way, and then he or she would want to go for him and rip him apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Female spirit that basically if you did certain moves against her, or react in a certain way, or move to certain parts of the situation, nothing else would matter. She'd go for you.
Yes, and I think that's called world building and creating a character. because the characters would act in a way that they would act. They don't just act as they do from the stat block. If you've put them to have personalities or you've given them flaws, and character flaws and buffs are so important to characters, to player characters, to NPCs. Because if you've got like a big bad who's like, okay, I'm Chancellor Palpatine and I'm working behind the scenes, they are going to lie through their teeth to not be discovered and to be the puppet string. So when you've got players rolling insight checks, actually, that's where it really matters. And that's where during fights, they can be like, they could be there as a really powerful mage, but like not using their powers and being like, oh, I'm so weak, help me. And, you know, you've got to like bring the players in like that. And I think definitely using their personalities as a role play in fight for what they do is better than just being like, well, they wouldn't know this, but he's got a fireball. They go, and then everyone's like, whoa, why is he casting magic?
Massive thing.
Yeah, and I think it goes around like that. So, in terms of painting, though, I am just trying to start layering up some different areas of patches of white, which we're then going to wet blend down, hopefully, through the greys again. And then we will see if that catches any light and looks any good. But for now, we're just on some of the base colours. How about you? How are you getting on?
I'm alright. I'm literally just dry brushing. I have gone for a very easy, very bland palette with this one, and literally just trying to show off a simple method and hope it'll work for a table.
Yeah, I decided to bite off more than I could chew this week. But we'll see. I'm going to start the wet blending there, I think. So wet blending, for anybody who doesn't know, is a technique where you take a very watered down paint, and before the other layer of paint has dried, you begin applying it in directions to the model. What this should do is then allow the paints to merge and you get a blend or a transition. And then you can just use water to feather from there on in the direction that you want the paint to go. I think that's the right description of that.
Sounds about right.
So have you ever managed to use flying swords in your campaigns then?
I have used them a couple of times. I tend to try and mix and match with a couple of animated objects because I never like just doing one thing at once.
Yes.
Especially when it comes to sort of effective traps.
Oh yeah. I really like using them just like here, there, and everywhere because they're such an easy thing to put into dungeons, and like players when they see a sword as well that's on a wall, they're like, I want to fucking take that. Dibs, it's interesting seeing two artists using different techniques on the same model. Yeah, and I think that's really cool, especially like because we're going for a different colour palette each this time. Yeah, so I think with like flying swords, like what I tried to do with you there was to have it so that it wasn't a sword to begin with, it was just some kind of knife, and then the enchantment makes it grow when you trigger the trap.
Well, that's it, yeah, you effectively imbue it with the enchantment of it all. So that's stuff like that. I think will play out a lot better because it's like seeing the empty armor set against the wall.
Yeah.
The player instantly thinks that's going to come alive.
Exactly. And we kind of want to add that element of surprise, whereas you knew it was alive or something was going on, and yet there it was. You still had to investigate it. And it's all about laying those breadcrumbs, really, isn't it?
Trying to, guide players to a goal that you want them to feel that they are choosing to go to.
Yeah, and I suppose in some aspects that could be railroady, what I've done to you. But at the same time, once you're inside a dungeon, it's pretty railroady. Like, you know, you arrive at...
Railroady, I always find, basically, it's not a case of... It's the illusion of choice. So, it's like you laid the situation out. I feel railroading is you going, right, you've got nowhere else to go, you have to look at this thing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And sometimes that can be fine. Like, in this kitchen, you were pretty much trapped in and there was nothing else you could do because we need to do this encounter here and now. You know, if it was a long-running campaign, then, yeah, you could absolutely have been like, roll me an Arcana check and then be like, well, yeah, you know it's a magic trap, so then you could have called your wizard down and then he could have dispelled it and stuff. There's so many different ways you can do things, and yeah, I think for shows like this where we're just having a laugh while we paint some minis, just to give us another talking point is kind of the whole dealio, really. So, I have no clue what I'm doing. But I'm just trying to add in.
That's like my motto in everyday life.
But I am trying to just get those blends in so that we can start feathering out areas before I start adding some whiter lines to this model. So how is everybody in chat anyway? How has everyone's week been? How's everyone's day going? Obviously this combat was over real quick today because Richard absolutely tanked it.
Who have we got in chat today?
We've got Dibs, Herbalist, Fluffy at the moment.
I need to get on one of Herbalist's painting streams because...
Yes, you just started, haven't you, Herbalist? Which is awesome. We'll have to all do something together at some point. So I've just picked up her book. Which is very, very cool. And I'm going to send it off to her to get it signed for my wife. First week done. Congratulations. Yeah, Herbalist, that'd be awesome to get you and Rich together. I'd be super keen on doing streams and stuff because anything to grow the community, right? Yeah.
That's it. And I've got to ask you guys, is there a new social media app out or something I've seen you were saying about?
Yes, so we are now on Threads. It's new. It came out this morning, I think, which was crazy. And I saw everyone basically be like, it's the new Twitter. And it really is like going back to old Twitter, which is kind of cool. There's no hashtags on it at the moment, but it's integrated with Instagram in terms of you can find and follow people on there. But I wasn't able to like post share, so I've had to do separate ones. It's like circa
yeah, that'd
212,
be the only thing I'd be worried about is not being able to post share.
But actually, it seems all right so far. It's very simple to use, and actually, my old man brain didn't just go, "Huh? What is this? With your dooley boppers and your hinky dinks?"
What are we gonna do?
Yeah, pretty much. But no, it's Herbalist and I are already on there sharing cat pictures, which is what social media's for.
That's it. Always with the cats.
Hell to the yeah. And then, yeah, I think it could be relatively good, to be honest. It's nice to see that as Twitter dies and becomes weird and strange.
As it should.
Yeah, it's gone wrong. And I'm getting a lot of notifications, so people are following me right now, which is great. Yeah, so I guess it's... yeah, we're on Threads, and it's now on my LinkedIn and my Linktree or whatever it is at the top of the pages and stuff, and all the usual follows, likes. We love them all. So, thank you. I'm going to try and post many cat pictures and go from there. So I'm going to take some Apothecary White now, which is a contrast paint, which I don't get to use very often because I don't understand it. It's a grey, but it's a white, and I'm going to use
it. It is one of those ones that is baffling to use.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm unsure of what to do. So I'm kind of using it as a shader really here and hoping that the grey is what shows through the most. Having never done NMM, I'm really quite terrified of how this is going to look.
I've got to say, I'm quite impressed at the bravery of trying it, especially on stream as well.
Oh, I've got to try it at some point, haven't I?
That's it. Well, I promise. I keep saying this about all these different paint techniques. I've got videos sort of lined up. I'm trying to work through and grow the painting, I say skill, the painting knowledge, and trying to practice other bits and pieces because this is what I want to do, and it's just getting the time to actually work through bits and pieces and learn. So one of the things I love about being able to do this every week is it's having to paint. It's being able to see how things flow, getting your brush control better, getting your speed better, knowing how things are going to go down in a model and stuff like that.
And I think that's definitely kind of what this is for me as well, is testing the waters, because I've focused heavily so much on Star Wars Legion recently because I've really been getting into playing that game. Obviously, I'm wanting to run a Starfinder campaign here in the studio, and I've got a D&D one coming up. I've been trying to focus on those minis, but I haven't sat down and done those minis that, like, for me, these ones really matter because they can randomly crop up in campaigns. And it's all
they can be used at every point. You've got effectively a library of painted minis, then, sort of thing.
It's another tool to the toolkit. realistically. And I think having it ready to go means that you can then just populate a dungeon, you can populate random encounters, and I love having random encounter tables that are like, they come across a cave or a wizard's tower and stuff like that, because then you've got to like think quick of like asking the question of why for world building. Like, okay, why is this here? Why is it theirs? What's in it? Why is this here? And if you ask yourself why every time, especially on the spot, you can come up with some crazy stuff pretty quickly. And that's kind of what we're doing each week, really. So yeah, I'm a big fan of stuff like this. So it's nice to actually get it done and kind of work with you on these things. And next week we've got the Rug of Smothering. And if you haven't guessed, as we go through the animated series, you'll be entering this house with another member of the party from a different approach.
Hooray.
And we'll see how they do against a rug with a choke fetish.
Rug.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to add some white now. And I know that white's going to sort of be the top colour, but I still want to blend this into my highest areas, I think. Or to my light hitting areas.
How long have we got left on the timer?
You got 21 minutes!
Oh, okay, blimey. I won't use the airbrush to dry stuff then.
Yeah, we're killing it today for time, man. Like, that encounter was over in seconds. I think that's one of the good things about sometimes the one-on-one player versus, well, I say player versus DM, player and DM encounters, is that actually, because the action economy is so quick, there's not a lot of time spent choosing actions or going, oh god, I don't know.
That's it, trying to think about the environment and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly that. But, yeah, it's progressing. Right, let's get this white on this side.
Oh, I tell you what, I will share with you one of the most heart-wrenching fails in printing I've had this week.
Oh, go for it.
So, you know I've been printing book nooks.
Yes.
So, the software lies when it says about resin.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously, most of the book nooks are a 12 to 14 hour print.
Yep.
And obviously 9 times out of 10, I never need to top up the VATs because on the M3 pluses, they're pretty hefty.
Yeah.
And I've worked out roughly how much, mil-wise, the max line can take. So I was under the impression I had a good 700 mils of resin in my vat because of where I filled it up to. Issues happened and I had to go out in the morning. Basically, the print was due to finish at 12. So normally, I'd done my normal morning routine of cleaning the printers and setting up the next new prints.
Oh no!
So
it's because I know what's coming.
Whilst out, it suddenly dawned on me. I thought, I've not kept the bloody thing. So out in the car, basically drove back past the house to just run in and dash in, only to see the dregs of the printer and it had run out of resin. However. So the book nook looks great from the front.
That's not bad.
All right. And it is literally the last piggin bit. So yeah.
That's a you book nook now. That belongs to you. It can go on your shelf.
So this is now my dragon book nook.
They are so cool, and the Goblin Party is my absolute favourite. And those of you who haven't seen it, one, Herbalist has got one, so go check hers out on...
I was going to say, yeah, Herbalist has got... I can't wait to see that.
And also Richard's got them on his Instagram as well. And, hey, if you're on Threads, maybe they'll post them on there.
That's it.
But
yeah,
I think the Goblin Party is the best one.
I don't know. I love the Goblin Party, don't get me wrong, but I love the Orc as well. The Orc is awesome, and being a lover of the Cthulhu bits and pieces, the Cultist, the Mind Flayer one looks amazing. But yeah, I'm looking forward to painting the dragon now. So yeah,
I am unsure of what to do here. So I've got to this point where I've got like the kind of blended check on. See if I can get that to focus. It's not anywhere near perfect done, but what I might do is try and put a thin layer of contrast over the whole thing, and see if that blends it all in.
See how it goes.
Yeah, but I'm torn between going with like Azurman Blue, Croxigor Scales, or something lighter, and then using Waystone Green on the handle where the hands are, because Obviously, we've got the green as the flames, or the magic hand and the magic effect, but I'm unsure of what I want to achieve here.
I was going to say, it's always the bugbear.
What should we go with? Chat, let me know. What am I doing? Blue or green?
So I have gone. I don't know. Camera on here isn't great. So the blue sort of magical effect I've gone for. I've done like a darker build up in the contrast, dry brush, and then I've gone over with a lighter blue contrast.
That's sick.
Just giving it a nice sort of effect. And I think I'm actually going to be lazy and call it done.
Good. You like me last week? I was like, leaving it.
I'm literally going for complete simplicity.
And that's the point.
So, you know,
oh.
no point doing any fancy bits and pieces. I've done the Grey Knight steel on the blade, and on the longer sword I've given it a Nuln oil at the hilt and up the centerpiece of the blade. On the shorter sword I've done the same, but I've also added like a rust colour to the centre of it as well.
Lovely.
Just to give it something else.
I'm going to really thin down some Croxagore scale because that's what Herbalist said. And we're gonna try and contrast over the NMM.
Yeah, do it.
God. I want this like ink thin.
Ink. Oh my god, that's brave.
Okay. So, I mean, this is how thin this is. I don't know if you'll see this on the sheet, but like, if I load up the brush there,
yeah,
it's like sinking into that straight away. Boop.
So we've got Rugger Smothering next week. What have we got after that?
The Onkeg. So I'm back onto the WizKids minis after the Rug of Smothering, which, by the way, the Rug of Smothering that you sent to me is my favourite mini so far. It's so silly, and I just freaking... One, like the animated armour, it's a piece of terrain, and then the other one is a monster, and I'm all for that.
Yeah, I love the fact that it comes with a flat version as well, so it's great.
Yeah, and I already know what I'm doing with it. I know what colours I'm going for. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
That'll be good fun.
Right, so that's those on there that I can dry for a minute before I try and do any more blend. Oh, no, maybe. Oh God, Richard, what have I done?
Yeah, you've really... I'm quite impressed at the complexity you've made out of this one.
I'm actually adding some grey back into it to blend in with that blue.
Love it.
Oh, God. I've got 14 minutes.
You got plenty of time.
Okay, so that's where we're at with the Croxagore.
Oh, wicked.
There you go. We'll wait for that to dry and then we'll add the white lines into the very top bits. I need some Retributor gold.
Hey, Retributor.
Everybody say, hey! Standard Retributor. Oh God, it's still so wet. It's wet! I want that across the... Is it called the guard? Has it got a different name to that on the...
No, I think it's the guard. We've got a pommel, hilt, guard.
Cross guard.
Cross guard. Dibs you probably know.
Dibs! Is it just called the guard that goes above the wrist and across the top of the hilt? Also, I know it's called something different, a rapier, isn't it?
Yeah, only because they're really fancy and daft.
So I'm going to make the pommels gold as well. And I'm going to hex flame the shit out of those handles. Why did I choose to do too much, Richard? Why didn't I do what you did? I could have been done. Done, I tell you!
No, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Because on one of the armours you went, and Angels and that, you went completely sort of... Yeah, the first couple of Angels, the WizKids ones. Completely simple, dry brush, base coat, done. Swings and roundabouts, my friend.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's also probably mainly because I don't want to engage in any brain power today, because it'll probably dribble out my nose if I try. So I figured I'd go for simplicity.
Yeah, I should have done what you did and kept it to simplicity. But right now, just before we have that final drawing on the Croxigore, I am just adding like a little hint of white, just so it blends ever so slightly.
Love it. I'm trying to think what we can do fancy for our first giant creature.
Oh, dry brushing the shit out of it is what I'm doing for an hour. I mean, what is our first big creature? I know it's a way away. Oh, it's the Behir, isn't it? I might pick up some Turbo Dork for that, you know, like the...
I've seen their paint, I've never used it.
They've got like some iridescence, and the Behir to me looks like it's got that kind of like iridescent kind of slimy skin of like a newt or something. Yeah, it's just called the Guard according to Dibs. And I think that with that, I'm going to just... yeah, I'm going to coat it in like the two-tone, and it's like a prismatic paint that, like, when you look at it one way it's purple and the other way it's blue. And I think that could be quite cool.
That's going to be... It's got horns as well.
Well, I mean, that's not too bad. I mean, we can quite literally paint those brown, do the body in one, like, thing.
And as I said, the horns can be done last.
Yeah, exactly. It's. I guess we'll see.
The main thing I got to find now is see what one... Ah, thank you, Lord of the Print, you legend. He's done a Behir.
Oh, cool. Well, WizKids have got one, so I am going to be doing that one up.
Oh, Flesh of the Gods have got one as well.
Oh, lovely.
But I think I'm going to have to go with... So, Lord of the Print's got young, adult, and elder Behir.
Oh, so you could get away with a different one. You could go with a smaller one.
Yeah, because, of course, that's what I was thinking. I wasn't looking at the elder one with awesome, massive horns.
Oh, do it.
Oh,
join me in pain.
Actually, I think I'm actually going to have to do the elder one. It's massive scales in this thing. It looks wicked.
So the decorative element of it is to do with the owner, blacksmith, and wealth. Oh, cool. So yeah, I didn't know about that. I didn't know if it was just like designed to be heavy on like a bastard sword or something, so that like you're fighting somebody else with a heavy sword, or if it's. I know that like people use them defensively and stuff like that and close up, but and obviously on a rapier it's mostly decorative to like guard the hand, I guess, because you're like wrapped around it. I'm not really too sure. I probably should learn some of that. So I'm actually going to take some more of my Croxigore and again go too far. I'm going to stipple it onto the top of the hands so that they're like the darkest point of the magic, and start trying to blend that down into that Tesseract and that Hex Wraith. And that way we get a nice blend on the magic. Otherwise, minus waiting for my Tesseract Glow to dry because I put on quite a heavy layer, I can't dry brush on the yellow yet. I'm wondering if I can put like a yellow contrast down at the bottom.
How long you got?
I got 9 minutes.
You might need... Have you got your airbrush to hand?
No, it's in the house.
Oh.
So we're going to risk it. We're going to do another contrast. Here we go. 9 minutes, Richard, to watch me panic.
Risk it for a biscuit. Come on.
Woo!
You can do it.
Here we go! Oh, by the way, my kids love those little Mario and Luigi 3D miniatures, man. They were so cool.
Wicked.
Yeah, they were like, ah!
Dave actually had the bigger ones off me the other day because his kids love Mario and Luigi. Because I did, so I did the mini ones like you had. And I did 3 other sizes as well. Stopping at about, I think they're a good 20 centimeters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Do you know what? It's annoying because I need to sort through the rest of that Mario release because it was a release from Wicked, and they did the whole lot.
Really?
So SNES, N64, Super Mario, all the bits and pieces, and you've got a massive diorama of them all moving around this one of the pipes in the middle. All the little beasties, all going from all the different incarnations of him.
That's freaking cool.
Yeah.
So, Dibs says, a bastard sword normally has a leather-bound section above the hilt as another hand grip for a strong defensive grip. So that's like one on top of the other.
Yeah,
personal armor hopefully protects the fighter.
That's how they used to fight.
There you go. We're learning. We're learning.
We're learning.
That's what we want.
Listening and learning, please.
Really water down some of this demonic yellow from the army painter, and
I feel bad. I feel like I should be doing more because you seem to,
No. You've done the right thing. Now watch me suffer.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw some of this in at the very bottom, very watered down to sit into those gaps. And the thing I love about yellow is it works so damn well with green. And it can almost change exactly how a mini looks. And so wet blending, this is again what we're doing. We're not letting the paint dry before we add this on. And we're going heavier in one area and then we're pulling it into the areas we want it to blend with. So I'm at this point now, which looks messy, but we're going to get some more Tesseract glow on there. And this should eventually finish my mini. But I will have to wait for it to dry. 6 minutes, Richard. I've got 6 minutes.
Go for it. I think I tried one thing I was doing with the Tesseract glow and the Hexreef flame. I used on the, where is she? There she is, the Hell statue I painted.
Yes.
So that obviously under a UV light, she looked awesome.
Yes. Yeah, I like doing edge work with Tesseract glow and stuff like that. It's very cool. And there's the blend. And that's it. Calling it.
You're done.
Not going any further. So this obviously looks massively wet right now, but that should dry with a blend of yellow to dark green.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And the yellow pigment should all just sit into that bottom bit there. The NMM was actually a first proper attempt at that, and I think that I know what I'd do differently next time. I'd probably make the segments a bit closer together, add some white scratch marks and stuff, but at the moment it just looks like a polka dot sword. So
definitely think it's worth even sort of doing a couple of streams with it and trying to practice it.
Yeah, I mean, we should definitely do that. We still need to do the angel. I've just been too busy to contact you, so I'm very sorry about that.
No, don't worry. Literally, as I said, this is the first chance I've actually had to breathe, so you know.
But that is mine. How about you? Let's see yours again, because yours was stunning.
I wouldn't go that far.
I love that blue, though.
Camera as well to show off. I'll take a picture and I'll pop it up. But it was a mixture of so it was Contrast Stormfiend over an original sort of Zenithal coat, then dry brushed with a light blue and a white, and then deciding I'll do something completely different, and then I put a Frostheart contrast over that, just lightly, and it's gone quite nice.
No, I think that works really well, and I'm quite glad that Herbalist said to go with the Croxigore. I actually really like that because it's given it that kind of light blueness, but your blades, like that blue metallic's really cool. I like that a lot. But yeah, so that is your flying sword. You know, it's pretty simple stat block, 17 hit points, 17 armor class, really low-end monster, but if you crit with it, it can be a real problem for any low-end party. Yeah, and luckily Richard managed to get away from that. But I guess that is where we'll call it today then, just shy of the hour. Thank you, Herbalist. Thank you so much. And as always, thank you guys for being there in chat. It is just a pleasure to be able to do this each week with Richard, and let alone have people jump in and take part is absolutely amazing. Once more, Richard, who are you? Where can people find you?
People can find me Warrior Prince 3D on Instagram, Etsy, Facebook, hopefully soon Threads. Me, you know.
I sent you an invite this morning, so you've got to come do it.
Oh, did you? Oh, yeah. Right, I can do it now. One-stop shop for anything 3D printing. New addition this week are the Cragger Giants, which if you haven't seen them, go and have a look. They're so pretty I could cry. The Elder Giant will be seen and pictured soon because I'm going to be printing it at possibly double the size it is. Anyone on the stream or any followers, drop me a message and you can get a discount code from me.
Herbalist says, Richard, is that a thing model on your desk? And I was nodding my head at it because I've seen that too. It's very fucking cool.
Yeah, yes, it is. So this is one of 3 things I have been printing. This one is being painted up for my stepfather-in-law. There's one that is clicking and one that is giving the finger.
Nice.
I'm going to try and get them all printed, painted, and do a real video of the song. So when it's clicking, it's
clicking on the thing. That's very cool.
Yes.
You could also do that whole joke where it's like, what's one of those? It's a dead one of those.
It's a dead one of those.
Because that is one of the best jokes in the world, period. I'm Ian, the Dragonborn Bard, and you can find me at Dragonborn Industries or at the Dragonborn Bard. We obviously have our dice store, which is www.dragonbornindustries.com. And we just do bits and pieces here and there. We have the YouTube channel, we have Twitch. Come along, take part. It's nice to be part of the community again. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next week, I believe. Richard, you free for next week?
Yes, as far as I'm aware.
Double check my calendar because I keep saying that and then not checking myself. Yeah, I'm free, cool. We'll be back next Thursday at 12 o'clock for The Rug of Smothering.
Can't wait for that one.
Awesome. Richard, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you soon, and may the dice gods be ever in your favour. Bye.